Okay, so this is another video on this CNC machine facelift. This is for my path, MAXPATH 42. It was a router. As you can see here, I have refitted this or retrofitted it with this 2-inch steel tube across the existing towers or arms for the gantry. Now my gantry is a little bit longer, but I'm going to, because I have the space here, and I've been redesigning some of these components for my own 3D printed CNC router. I have decided to go the full length here of this this table here that's sitting in this sort of a closet space area in my shop here. So I'm waiting for some 3D prints, the towers to these to the rest of these components done in the same color, 3D printed. I was originally thinking of using these existing towers from the MAXPATH 42, but my 3D printed ones I think are a little bit better in the sense that I am using the same tubular sections here. This is a 1.5-inch tubing, and this is 2-inch. I think I'm going to use 1.5-inch throughout the whole setup here and just go with one bar instead of two. I was going to do it with 2 bars, but it is getting a little bulky, and I really don't need the height here because I don't plan on cutting materials more than maybe 2 inches in height, maybe 3 max 3 inches. I've never had to use the router for anything higher than most of the stuff that I've cut here. Originally, when this was in its original configuration, was just a lot of flat stock. At the max 1 inch. 1 inch. I think I cut 2-inch foam pieces one time, but that's about the max. So my height here is does not require that much height. So this is going to be a sort of a low rider, if you will, and that's the reason why I'm considering just using one bar. I don't need the double bar here. So I'm going to be using the same bar, I believe, here just across my towers here, my gantry towers or side arms. Just across this which is probably going to be about that height right there. And if these towers don't work for some reason, I can always come back to these, because these dimensions here, this is 6 inches, and I designed these so that I can mount these guys to these trucks here. So that's an option. I mean, I like to have options, just in case that something doesn't work. I always can go back to the other ones. I also have, these are the plates that I took out from the existing MAXPATH. I have a lot of aluminum here that I can use, for. I can use this plate right here that used to be the underslung brace for the gantry. It's got this is also 6 inches in width. It's quite a bit of aluminum here, so I can cut this in half, because that's 24 inches, and use 12-inch, so I can have a 12-inch tower arms made out of that material attached to these, and I think that could also be another option. So I have 3 options here, but I really want to stay with, even though this machine is going to be dismantled, it's just going to be in spare parts or storage, or maybe to sell these parts as they are. But I really wanted to remain with my own design here so that it's consistent throughout. Otherwise, you're mixing parts and it doesn't. I don't like doing that. I mean, the options are there, but I rather have this bar right here, so it looks really the part, is the complete machine, the way I designed it. So this is I cleaned up the space here. I am going to give it a coat of paint, because this is. This I cannot get this stain on the wall, even though I use that stuff right there, which is pretty good. The rest of the table I cleaned, the sides I cleaned, but that wall needs a coat of paint. I may just paint this whole area here, because it's just a little cubby hole here in my shop that doesn't It just served the purpose for this machine here. I made this specifically for this machine, but it was awkward, with the gantry being like this, So anytime that I needed to do a tool change or access, the parts, I had to come around here, and it was very awkward, with the gantry this way. So with the gantry this way, it's a lot. It just opens up, this whole area here. At the time that I bought this, the original MAXPATH 42. Most of these machines were the standard way, with the short gantry, and the long tables, typical of all these CNC routers that came out at that time. I wanted one that had that had the long x-axis, but there weren't any available at the time. I think in maybe 10 years later, I started seeing some people. I think I saw one machine that was done by. It was customized for this man that was doing surfboards. And then later on, I think I saw another one for another gent that was doing guitars. So it just makes sense, to have this open area here where you can access the machine this way, and the gantry is that way away from you, unless you like the long tables with the short gantry, and you have the space all the way around the machine so you can access it. But I just don't have that luxury here. And this is the cubby hole that I designed for this machine, and that's where it's going to stay. There's I mentioned that there's a vent hole here. That vent hole goes to a filter, an air conditioning filter, and then that gets exhausted outside when I'm cutting wood here, so that I don't have to breathe all that stuff. Plus, I have vacuum systems here, and this was also part of a vacuum system that I had here. That's what these ports are for. I will have to rework this. I will have to rework the vacuum and then the exhaust. The exhaust is just a fan that sucks up all the air, through the filter to the outside, and that's how I keep this area clean, and I catch everything in the filter. So yeah, this is the layout here, and that is the tower arm that I'm printing. You see that that has a slot on the kind of at 45 degrees, and that's to insert another 1.5-inch steel tube just to reinforce this whole setup here. I am also printing the brackets for the Y rail. The left side, the right one is done. The left one, I need to redo that because a couple of those came out a little bad, and so I'm redoing that on my Anycubic. This machine, it just keeps on printing so well. I cannot say enough about this machine. I've said that on many videos, but just FYI. And this is my CAD model, my machine that with all the parts there. I actually started this, it has several iterations here. I actually started with this, the MAXPATH. I reverse engineered that machine so that I can bring all those dimensions in here, and I can work with, see if I can reuse some of these components. I had another file with another machine that I did using 2-inch tubes, but I sort of lost that file. I made a boo-boo in the copying and saving. I lost the file, but I made copies of all the parts. So most of these parts were for that other machine. And then when I started making this one, I started just massaging some of those components. You can see the sort of evolution of just the thought process that I went through when going through these machines. There's one with the same rails of the MAXPATH 42, steel rails with the Thompson pillow blocks. Then I went to this machine, and as you can see, this one has an angle panel at the front, which is something that I was planning on doing originally, since I really like angle panels. just like the Anycubic i3 Mega 3D printer has that angle panel. I really like having the control that way, all the electronics underneath, and it's all clean and hidden. So this was actually my target machine here. We were using some of those components from the MAXPATH, and then I started to deviate a little bit. Some ideas came into play, and then I started playing around with just going back to the tube idea. And one of the reasons that I did that is so that I could gain a little more distance or space, cutting area here from the front of the machine to the back. And doing it with these the way that I'm showing here, it was just not allowing me, because a lot of these parts were getting a little too bulky. Not so much the trucks, but the tubing. And so I decided to come back this route. As you can see here, all the tubing here is 1.5 inch steel tubing, and it's done on at 45 degrees, because that's the logical way to do these things if you're going to use these types of trucks here, which are very easy to do. And so that is my machine. You can see the towers here, the arms. They're reinforced with two additional plates. I don't have those plates just yet, but this is reinforced with two additional plates. Right here, there's a plate on the right and there's a plate on the left, just to encapsulate that steel piece of tubing that's inserted here, just to provide extra support for the tower. So hopefully that'll work. I'm pretty sure it will work out just fine, because I spent quite a bit of time analyzing this and just testing some of the parts that I already have. So basically that's my setup right there. And hopefully next video I'll have some of these components already assembled and installed. But and once again, this is the original MAXPATH 42 Z-axis here, that I can just simply attach it to these trucks here, to my own trucks, or I can make my own. But since I have all these parts already done, I may use this, even though, like I was saying before, I don't like to mix and match these parts. I like to for a machine like this, you want to go with full 3D printed parts if that was your target goal. So we'll see what happens. But just for the time being, I may just pop this complete Z-axis assembly from the MAXPATH 42 original, and test it and see how it goes. One key feature about this particular machine is that the way I mount the motors is I don't mount the motors on the outside. You can see here, this is actually supposed to be sitting a little bit further inside here, but I mount them inside so that and of course I have to allow for that extra length here, so that I can also have the cutting area remain intact. So all that's taken into account in that area that I showed, that closet-like area where I have the partially installed components there. I do have the space there, because that's 60 inches. Yeah, that's 5 foot width, and so I have enough there. So I'm just going to go for the full length. I have to locate some of these parts so that I can have the 5 foot distance from the very end of that point right there. Well, this needs another plate here. So from the very end, actually no, from the very end of this to the very end of that should be 60 inches. Right now I'm at 55, so another 5 inches. Basically, that this is what I've been working on ever since I started taking this machine apart. And the reason also I embarked on this modification, facelift, is because I have been working on a pinball machine, and I really need to. I really need this machine. I was going to run it the way it was like that before disassembling it, but I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go the extra mile, disassemble, rebuild it, and then cut my pinball machine base, which I originally did it by hand just for the prototype. But I want to do it on the CNC machine so that I can have the proper tolerance on the on all the holes and where everything is going to go. So I had to put that other project on hold so that I can work on this one here. Most of these components that I brought from the other machine, the one that I lost the file, were done a number of years back. Maybe I think I did this like 5 years ago, and so I put also that on hold because I just did not have the time to complete this, and I kind of lost interest while I was doing that. I still had my CNC machine. I got involved into 3D printing, and so I didn't need this machine, so this machine was sitting gathering dust. But now that I need it again, I decided to do this facelift. Anyway, stay tuned for the next video. Mario once again with MIA Microflight.